Afternoon everyone, thank you very much for tuning in my latest video. It's just a short one, or it'll be quite short. It's just to go through some comments and some communications that I've been receiving via email and Instagram. It's just to address a couple of things with regards to what's in the comments. People are obviously still having problems, so I'd just like to go through a few things like that. I would like to obviously say thank you for all the birthday wishes, and obviously for the 9,000 plus subscribers. It's crazy how quickly it's grown, and I really do appreciate every last one of you, and I'm more than happy to have you with me on this journey, and hopefully we can change things together. So this week, obviously, or last week rather, and this week, as you can imagine, I'm still getting a lot of messages and a lot of comments, which is obviously fine. I don't mind it, it's what I signed up for. Although I do have to say, if you could refrain from requesting to call me at sort of 11:30 at night. I had somebody last week wanting to call me at that time at night to discuss his account, and so I've just got to my bed, mate. I mean, I don't mind obviously helping out, but I'm not going to answer a call at sort of that time of night. So it's just think, if it's not things like that, it's absolutely fine. I've actually added some details to the description of the channel. There's an email address there. It's just for business inquiries, etc. So if you do need to get in contact, you'll obviously find it in the description of the channel. So right, I'll just get onto the video now. Right, so there's a lot of things in the comments, and there was actually, when you start to read people's comments, and I wish I could reply to all of them. There's just no way I would have the time to do it. I try and react to them all, and I certainly try and read them all. Even then it's difficult because there's a lot of them come through and you don't get notified of them all anyway, but some of the ones that I have read, it's made me realise that I'd forgotten to put a couple of things into the videos. So I'll insert it into this one now. And one of the most common ones is that people were being, so people, as we all know, there's an earnings reporting system, and you can obviously work and be on universal credit, but depending on your circumstances. But people were obviously, now this is obviously a lot of single mums that do this, that are being harassed with this. So if you're a single mum, obviously if you're doing 16 hours a week or 20 hours a week or whatever the case may be, that allows you to sort of work, give your kids a decent lifestyle, or a perceived decent lifestyle, and obviously you can get on with your life. However, as I've mentioned in previous videos, there's obviously undesired work coaches that are pushing people to get more hours that they've just not got the time to do. I can't remember if I mentioned this or not, but I had a lady who'd exactly that. They were trying to push it in for her to do more hours, and she just didn't have the time to do it, and that appears to be happening even more so than what it was when I was there. And people are obviously saying to me, look, this is really stressing me out because I don't know what to do about it. And it's understandable. But what I would suggest you do as I had done with them when I was emailing them when I was still doing the job, I'd basically told them that this claimant cannot take on any more hours. They've not got an extra 8 hours or an extra 5 hours. And like I say, I didn't work in the job centre, so I don't know if they get point scoring for getting people into employment, or they get more hours or something. I don't know. But there is work coaches out there, ever more increasingly so, trying to push people, single mums who have obviously got a lot going on. They've got everything that's going on in the world. They've got the cost of living, they've got their kids to look after, and they've got their jobs to sort of keep going to, not to mention maintaining the car and whatever else. So the last thing they need is a work coach telling them, actually, by the way, you're not doing enough, you need to get more hours. And for people that don't like confrontation, that are just trying to sort of go along to get along, that can be that can hurt your mental health. That it can stress it out even more, or you can stress you out even more than what you already are. And that's what they're doing. And what I would suggest you do is in a non-violent way, is to look these work coaches in the eyes and remind them that they are obligated to coach you back into employment, and that they've got a duty of care towards you. However, as you're already in employment doing as much hours as you can, there's just no further room in my life, or there's no room in my life for any further hours. To do so would just increase stress, thus it would make my mental health worse, and that's going to affect their kids. Because if someone's mum is upset or they're going through a bad time, it does. I mean, the kids feel that. And that obviously has its problems with their friends, and it's got the ramifications of it are really quite, they're very negative, obviously. So, again, if they are doing that, you have to, in a non-violent way, you look them in the eyes as a human being, and you just say, look, your job is to help me. That's not helping me. I've informed you that I can only do 16 hours, or I can only do 18 hours. It's all the time I've got. And that's all I can do, and that will not change until either maybe your child might get older or something. I don't know what for the situation to change that would increase the hours. But the way things sit, if you've not got the time to do that, then you need to inform them, and you do. Once you take your power back, see, this is the thing with bullies, and what I can see is a lot of these work coaches are bullies, and they're doing it because they've got miserable lives. Whatever it is that's going on in their miserable lives, it obviously makes them feel better when they make other people's lives miserable. That's obviously what they're doing. There's no doubt about that. But they're bullies as well, and if you actually stand up to them, and what happens to you if a bully's bullying someone and they've gotten their own way for a year or whatever it is, and then eventually the person's had enough and they turn around and they stand up to that person can get rattled by that because they're not used to it. The person's took their power back and they've said, no, I'm not going to stand in fear anymore. I'm not going to be scared of you anymore. I'm going to stand up to you. That throws a bully off, and more often than not, it's the bully that starts running. And that's the same with these work coaches. So if this work coach has had their way with you for however long, and then you turn around in a polite and nice way and say to them, look, I'm not having it, this is all I can do, and you're actually making my life more difficult, that would throw them off, it would rattle them, because they wouldn't be used to it. And again, I mean, this is the thing, if you start screaming and shouting and swearing, all they do is get security eject you. That's easy, I've said before, they know how to deal with that. What they don't know how to deal with is what I've just explained. And you can obviously ask them, I mean, would you do this to any of your family members, or how would you feel if someone was doing that to you? Again, you're putting them on the spot with that, and you're looking them in the eyes at the same time. They would know where to look. They wouldn't know where to look. And it would make them feel embarrassed as well. It should, because it would reveal them to be exactly what they are, bullies. And that's not true of all of them. Actually, I should just say I've done an interview, and I'm going to get that posted as well, but I probably should say that all work coaches are not bad, and absolutely not. They're just few and far between. There's some fantastic work coaches out there that genuinely care about their claimants, and they genuinely want to help them. They're just few and far between, and the case managers are the same. We need to stop thinking like this. We need to stop thinking that it's okay. I'm only doing my job here, because that's not going to fly. You're not going to get away with that this time, that I'm only doing my job. No, you're not only just doing your job. You're doing your job, and because of the way you're doing it, you are causing these people to fall into poverty and hardship. So you're not just doing your job. So again, it's about decency. Absolutely, it's about decency, and stop harassing claimants and asking them to take on more hours that they bloody can't take. It's like, why? What is it that you're getting out of that? You're bound to notice that the person is distressed. You're bound to notice they're going through a difficult bloody time. So why would you try and make that more difficult? I mean, is your life that bloody bad that you need to do that? I mean, what are we doing here? And like I say, I've had loads of these comments of people doing exactly that, and more often than not, it's women that have to suffer it, and it's wrong. And again, if you stand up to them, just stand on your own 2 feet and take your power back, they'll not know where to look. And there's obviously another, if you've got any questions or whatever, you can just get in contact with me, and we can obviously discuss it. Like I say, that email address has now been put on. But yeah, that's basically all that needs to happen with that. And it'll change the game. It won't just change the game when you're into the job centre, it'll change your life, because people say, oh, well, actually this person isn't a walkover, they're actually standing up for themselves now, and again, it'll change the game. Another common communication that I've had in comments and through messages is, people who are obviously being required to sign up to universal credit even though they're on quite a lot of money and they wouldn't be entitled to it. And people are obviously asking why that is. And the reason is because they want everyone on this universal income. So I actually had this where there was a guy who had it was actually his partner was asking this. So basically what happens is if you say you meet someone and you move into a property with them, regardless of what your situation is, if that person's on universal credit, you would need to sign up to universal credit with them because you're part of a joint claim. And that joint claim, like I say, even though you're paying your own way, you would still need to go in for appointments, etc, etc. Not as many appointments because you're working, but you would still need to go in and verify, you would need to accept commitments, agree commitments, all of that stuff. Because this is another way to monitor things. And it's just ridiculous. It's just like, they have to sign up to it so that we know you're not stealing from us. But you're stealing from us though, but it's okay for you to do it. And it's just ridiculous. It's just another control mechanism. And there's another big problem with this actually. It just popped into my head there, just well I remember. When I was at the job, still doing the job, they were like, joint claims was a massive problem. So what would happen is, like if you're in part of a joint claim and you've obviously had to set up the account, you join them, and what it does is, now I'll give you an example, and this is actually a very good tip, and I'm very sorry I didn't drop it in before, it completely slipped my mind. So let's say that I was due to get paid on next Tuesday, and I was moving in with someone who is on universal credit, and I'm on universal credit. If I was to report that change tomorrow, that I was going to be moving in with this person, then that would automatically dispense my payment. I wouldn't receive my payment on Tuesday because I've essentially closed the single claim down and it's been made a joint claim. Now it used to be that they would pay you up to the point where you made the change, but they've stopped even that now. Now people used to say to me, but what if I get into trouble? Well, you're not going to get into trouble because all you need to do is if you are going to report any of these changes, report it on the day you receive the payment, and just put in the date that the change happened. You're not breaking any rules doing that. You're still informing them. You're still reporting the change, and you're still giving the date as to when the change was made or when the change took place. And that means that it keeps you right. You report the change, and you still get your payment. And it's the same if you're going to be cancelling a joint claim, it's exactly the same. So if you're sitting here and you're like, oh well, this relationship's not working, I've got a payment coming in Tuesday, if I was to report the change to say that I was going into a single claim, the same thing would happen. And I know it's obviously more difficult in that situation because you're maybe having a bad time, you're trying to get away from a relationship, you might have an abusive partner or something like that, and it is difficult, and I know it's not always amicable, but if possible, you really should try and wait to the day you get paid. Because not only you, it's your partner's going to lose out, or your ex-partner's going to lose out on the money as well. And that it's just another bloody way that they use to try and scam people out of money. I mean, like I say, years ago, when I used to sort of sign on and off all the time because I was in between jobs constantly, and like say for example that say I got paid, and then maybe a week later or 2 weeks later I would say, right, that's me, I'm signing off now, I've got a job. You would still get paid for those 2 weeks, but they don't do that anymore. They don't appear to do that as often now. Like I say, they used to pay you up to when you reported a change or when you'd worked to. All that's been done away with. And I've actually received other communications as well with regards to what's going on with regards to the deductions. Now, someone had contacted me who's still doing the job. I didn't know them before, but they've contacted me to say that they think it's great that what I'm doing and all the rest of it, and they've tried to sort of follow my lead by trying to be a humanitarian and not necessarily looking at the process first. And they have informed me that the deductions that I was mentioning, and people being deducted for payments or overpayments that they didn't actually get. They're saying that they need to pay back child tax credits when they're not even getting any kids, all that stuff. So apparently now what they're doing with that is they're sending these underpayments, so it triggers an underpayment to say this claimant's not been paid correctly, we need to give them it back. But instead of sending the money to the actual claimant, they're sending it to debt management. Now, even if the person's got advances standing out or overpayments standing out, this money that they have taken is money from their standard allowance living expenses. So to say that we'll just send that straight to debt management to cover any advances is wrong, because there's something set up for that. You're supposed to pay it back, or you agree an amount that you can afford to pay it back each month, whether that be £8 or £10 or whatever the case may be. They don't automatically send everything, so what they're doing now is they're underpaying you, and then if you do happen to notice, or someone does tell you, instead of sending the bloody money or the underpayment letter to the claimant, they're then sending it to debt management to cover any debts. I mean, they're sending it there, but they'll be sending it there anyway. So they're absolutely going out their way not to give people their money. And it's just like, I mean, I was stunned, like, I was absolutely stunned, because I thought, well, these advances, you've already agreed an amount to pay these advances back. How can they send that money back to cover an advance? It doesn't, even without their consent. It's crazy. And this is why people, and I understand, people need to, it's difficult to take your power back. It's difficult to do that, especially when it's been going on so long. But you need to know what you're entitled to and make sure you're getting it. And if you're not getting it, absolutely, confrontation's a must, because, and I'm not saying you do that nastily or aggressively, but you need to confront the situation. You need to get the bull by the horns, like, and say, look, this needs to be sorted out. It's pushing me into hardship. And then other people telling me that the thing that happened to my gran with her state pension is they're speaking to claimants that this is happening to as well, where they're not getting any help, their state pension stopped, they weren't getting their rent paid or anything. And they had said to me that if they'd gotten through to any other agent, they would just have said it wasn't a UC issue and terminated the call. But luckily this person had said, look, I've kind of taken a page from your book and I've just processes out the window. It's humanity first and foremost, and I thought that's really, really good that you've done that. You should be really proud of yourself. And so it looks to be having an effect in that way, and this person helped this lady, which is just an amazing thing. It really is, and I'm so pleased that they'd gotten through to them. I'm so pleased they contacted me to tell me about it as well. And I've had contacts from other government departments to say it's happening here as well. It's happening at the HMRC as well, which is funny because I was supposed to go there. Some of the things they do can cause even more stress. But this is the effect it's having. People are reaching out now, and they're coming and they're saying, Alan, that this is right, this is happening, but instead of just following the process or the protocols, I'm just going to do it the way you were doing it. And this is the thing, you've just got to do it the way that you would want somebody to do it for you. It's very simple. That's all you need to do. Imagine it was you. That's it. Just put yourself in those. If the world done that, and we gave out a little bit of love here and there and just passed a little bit on, no matter how small, and everybody done that, this world, this control system would fall so hard, you would wonder how it ever stood so long. And that's what I like to think is going to happen with this, because people say, no, I'll do the right thing here. And each time we do that, because again, we follow these processes, you're going to be like agents. If agents follow the processes, they're going to starve people. And I was asking a question as well in that interview that I'd done, and is it enough for people? And it's not. It's enough for some people, but even then they're struggling. But for single young people, I said it was for single men, it's not enough, but for single women as well. If you're single and you're healthy, like you're fit and healthy and you can work, you're not going to get much help. This is why, and I do understand why people do that with limited capability for work and work-related activity, because we need it. We need more. It's not enough, and they're using the excuse that there's no money, and it's just absolute nonsense. So again, it's just more of the same. The message is the same. Empathise with whoever it is that's calling you, and if you can't do the job, you don't want to do the job, you leave. That's what you have to do. It's as simple as that. Because each time we do that, we're giving them what they want. We're behaving exactly the way they want us to behave. So that's why we need to be the opposite to that. I've said for years, whatever they tell you to do, you look at the opposite to see what the alternative is. And that's what I've done, and it's served me very, very well. So I would suggest that people do that also. There's another common issue. Sorry, I'd just like to move on. If anybody's got any questions about any of that, obviously you know where to find me. So I'm going to move on to the next part of it, which is this is to do with housing. So I'm getting a lot of communications of people saying that their housing's not correct, they're under shared accommodation, but they're in one-bedroom flats, they need help, what am I supposed to do, I'm struggling. So if it's on, everyone needs to check their statements with regards to their house, and if you're having housing issues, the first thing you need to do is check your statement. Check to make sure that it's showing the actual house that you're in. So if you're in a 1 or a 2 bedroom flat and it's saying that you're under shared accommodation, the status is wrong, and you need to call the line as soon as possible and demand a payment dispute to be sent to your local service centre so that you can challenge the deduction to get your money back. You would then obviously need to contact your landlord and inform them of the issue with the system, and that you've obviously you've taken the first steps to rectify that by requesting the payment dispute. You can't just leave it, as I can see people in the comments, it's like they're giving up and saying, well, there's nothing I can do about it, and they're sort of throwing it away. But you can't do that. I mean, because you're going to lose, you're going to get evicted, because these accumulations, well, they are accumulating, or these rent arrears will accumulate till a certain point where they will just evict you. So like I said before, I know confrontation's not for everyone. But if it's wrong and the numbers are incorrect and it's causing you problems in your life to the point where you're going to lose your home, then absolutely you need to get up and confront the situation. And again, it's not about being aggressive or shouting or screaming or swearing or anything like that. It's just about obviously asking the person on the other end of the line for some empathy to say, look, this is my situation. This is what needs to happen. I need a payment dispute to get this sorted out, to get the correct housing put on there. Because the thing about it is, and I was thinking about this the other night there, if you have it's obviously fraudulent. It's fraudulent because, as you obviously know, you need to obviously get your tenancy agreement, get it signed and all the relevant documentation up against it with the signatures, landlord, etc., etc. And then what you need to do is you need to send it away to the case managers and the decision makers. They need to sign off on it and say, yes, that's been verified. But then a few months down the line, what is changing it to shared accommodation? So how can they just change that? Surely that's fraudulent in its own, especially if it's been agreed that the person's in a 1 or a 2 bedroom flat, whatever the case may be. So I'll say it again, if that's the case, and they've done that, you can't leave it, because you're going to get evicted. It is as simple as that. It is as simple as that. And I've said before, call it 8 o'clock in the morning because you'll get straight through. That's what time it opens at. It's all you can do. It's really all you can do. And just like I say, there's charities out there. There's a website called Advice Now, and it's like a signposting website, and it'll be able to signpost. It doesn't matter what your issue is, whether it's housing, homelessness, issues with your benefit, you maybe need access to an emergency fund. This will obviously direct you, it'll signpost you to the people that can help and advise you. It gives you phone numbers, email addresses, etc., etc., and then obviously they'll help you out, giving you more of an idea of what's going on. So again, it's just about taking responsibility, and I used to say this quite often, that maybe there was a time where people's accounts got managed without them having to do too much, but those days are gone. They're actually looking for any excuse not to pay you. So just check it every day and make sure that nothing's changed. Keep checking your to-do list. If you've not got a phone, get it from the Flexible Support Fund. If you've not got the right phone number on there, get into a job centre and let them know what the issue is. If you have got a phone that's maybe getting repaired and you can't log in, you can still call the line every day and request to be treated as a phone claimant, so that they can manage your account for you while you're waiting for a new phone or a phone repair or whatever the case may be. And that will help you, because it means that you know what's going on with it. There's no surprises. There's nothing worse getting surprised by a notification to say that you've missed this and you're sanctioned for that. That obviously hurts us as well. And I think that's it. I mean, it was just those two things that I'd seen that I'd basically seen that had concerned me a little bit, that people were obviously messaging me about, and there's actually been a couple of other things when I check my notes there. People are asking me about help for filling in PIP forms, the health questionnaires, the citizens advice. They have actually got a service in place for anyone who maybe has dyslexia or they have difficulty filling in forms. You can obviously help. They can call them and set up an appointment. They've got a service for that. So if you do need help and you've got anyone around and you maybe don't want to ask, that's understandable. Then just give them a call and set up an appointment, and they'll be able to help you with that as well. There's something else I want to mention as well, with regards to a few things that I've seen on the news recently, and there was one last week where and it's really sort of related to my videos, where they were saying, and it was like the day after I put this in a video, they were saying, has our community, has the sense of community been lost? And yes, of course it has, because that was always the plan. And it was related to when that guy died of a heart attack, horrific, died of a heart attack, and his wee baby ended up starving to death. And I mean, that leads into what I was saying before, when there was a social worker that apparently had went to the house, and I think it was the 5th of January or something like that, and knocked once. And I mean, I get it, like, you don't obviously think like that, but it's just absolute craziness I mean, to think of it's just craziness that somebody that, I mean, obviously nowhere dying of heart attacks, that's happening all the time. But then the sense of community, if there was a sense of community, surely somebody would have looked in, and I don't know, it set me off a wee bit. It was quite disturbing to hear that someone went round and checked and there was no one there, and yet nothing was done about it. And I just don't understand how that can happen. And again, that leads into being I mean, if you're a social worker and you've got a guy at 60 who's managing a kid and you've not heard from him, I mean, I know it's Christmas and all the rest of it, but I myself would have made further inquiries about that, just to obviously double check. They obviously didn't, which has caused the problems. But again, even if, I mean, I have my problems with neighbours, of course, everyone does, but we need to live together and live next to each other, and this is why we need to look out for each other to avoid things like that happening. And then the other day I shared it on the channel, where the Chinese Communist Party were in London, and someone was playing a bloody piano, and they were telling him that he couldn't play the piano because they were walking by, and he was like, look mate, we're not under control, this isn't China, this is Britain, we're allowed to do these things. But this is what they're doing, they're getting people used to this stuff, it's to try and get you used to it. And again, if we don't wake up and get things together and start, and again, it's changing yourself first. Once we change ourselves first, the dominoes will fall one by one, the control system dominoes will, because they rely on us shunning responsibility. That's what they want you to do. So when you take that back, it is over, and I keep saying it, the game is over. Once we stop feeding into their nonsense and take our responsibility back and say, it's on me, that's it all over for them. And that's basically it. That is what we need to do. It's a change of thinking to do that. I know I said it in the last video, but it is that simple. And I think that's me at the end of this. No, I didn't have any other. It was just some notes that I just wanted to put out there again to remind people of their duties to themselves, to make sure that these things don't go wrong. And that's basically it. And I've got that interview that I've done, and it's been edited rather. I'm just getting ready to post it, so that'll be coming out. I'm going to do the cucumber and lemon water. I wasn't quite ready to make it over the weekend. I am now. I'll be making that tonight, so I'll be posting that for anyone that wants to see how I make it. And there's another video coming as well. I've just about gotten the notes done for it. I need to bullet point it and then I'll record it, so that may be tonight, or it'll probably be tomorrow maybe. And then I'll just continue with the videos after that. If anyone does need any help again, just give me a shout on Instagram or on that email address. Thank you once again for tuning in, I really appreciate it, and I'll see you on the next one.